Hi guys, Sarah here. I'm so excited to share some yoga information and inspiration with you, and I hope that we have a lot of fun as we explore yoga and what it can offer you and benefit for you. Today, we're going to start with what is considered a standing pose. It's also considered a transition pose, and what that means is you'll come into and out of it fairly often. So it's a very important pose. Most people, and it's one of the first poses you'll learn, most people tend to oversimplify it. They think it's pretty easy, but there's actually a lot of elements that go into it. So I hope you'll enjoy exploring it with me because I think it has a lot of benefit. And I put a lot of thought into what was the first pose I wanted to share. And I decided on Tadasana, which is Sanskrit. And an easy way of remembering it is tada and sana. Tadasana. So it has a little rhythm there. If you wanted to call it by its English name, it's called mountain pose. And as I said, I put a lot of thought into what I wanted to share first. And part of the reason I wanted to share it first is because I think it is so important in terms of our posture and our body language. And it inspired me the other day. I was reading through Us Weekly magazine, which I love. I love to catch up on all the gossip and see, which actresses are in and which actresses aren't and who, all the gossip. But what has struck me, and it's not the first time I've noticed it, but they always show these beautiful actresses and models in their evening wear when they have the award shows or openings. And quite often, I see these gorgeous young women in these beautiful couture gowns, and they're standing like this. They have their shoulders forward, they tend to slouch, and they're smiling, some aren't, but it's just such a unempowered posture. And I feel like young people, especially, don't really know how to stand in a way that opens them up, empowers them, and gives them confidence. And it really is as much as bringing your shoulders back can totally change how you feel. And that's why I think it's so important because one of the basic elements of Tadasana or a mountain pose is standing with your shoulders nice and open and soft. And I'd like you to experiment with that and kind of notice your posture as you go about the rest of your day and the rest of your week. Just kind of notice how you feel if you're sitting in class or you're sitting around with a group of friends and you kind of slouch and see how that feels. It's harder to breathe. It's not, all your energy tends to kind of slump with you. Whereas if you open up, all of a sudden I start to smile. My whole being, if you want to get a little, esoteric there or a little airy fairy, my whole being kind of lightens up. And that's why I think mountain pose is so important. I know I've said important like 1,000 times and I apologize. I tend to repeat myself, but anyway, so let's get to it. Let's explore mountain pose. So you are going to stand up, and in traditional yoga, you stand with your feet together, so big toes together. However, because I tend to be a little hippier, which means I have large hips, but I'm happy with them. I tend to stand with my feet hips distance apart, just so I have a little broader base of support and I feel really comfortable and grounded in my feet. And that's what you want to do. You want to lift the toes up first and then plant your pinky toes down and then plant the big toes down. So you have a nice solid base of support. Then from there, you want to stand nice and strong in the legs. Make sure your quadriceps or those thigh muscles are lifted. You're going to tuck your tailbone just a touch. Now, if you notice, I'm going to turn sideways. I tend to stick my tush out, which basically all the energy of my back goes right out my rear. So what you want to do is just tuck a little bit. And once you do, what that happens is your belly draws in. And you want a nice and strong belly because that means your core, your inner strength, is nice and strong. So you tuck and just draw in just a little bit. And when I say draw in, what I don't mean is suck in your belly and pretend you don't have a belly, because that's ridiculous. What I mean is it's just a softening in the low back area so that the belly draws in just a touch to protect your back, okay? Then you're gonna stand up nice and tall in your chest. And what you're gonna do is you wanna make sure your arm bones are drawn back. And an easy way to do that is to do the counter of that, the opposite of back, and really bring the arm bones forward. So we'll bring them forward. We're gonna roll them up towards our ear. This is what we do when we're really stressed out. But then draw the arm bones back and down. So just a basic shoulder roll, shoulder circle. So let's do that again. Roll them forward, back, up, and down. One more time. Roll them forward, up, straight back, and down. And a nice way to think of it is someone once described it to me, is those shoulder blades in the back. It's like you're trying to slide them down the back into your back pocket. So it's a nice open chest. Arms are down by your sides, palms facing in. And your shoulders are soft, so no shoulders up here by your ears, and your face is nice and level. So let's take a few breaths here and just feel what it feels like to stand nice and open and rooted to the floor. There's a nice feeling of energy, openness, and confidence that happens when you stand this way. So take a few breaths here. You can close your eyes if you want. I like to. And just notice what it feels like to stand in that way. And you can stand or sit that way with that nice open chest and just see what it does for you as you interact with your peers, your friends, as you're hanging out with your parents. It gives you a different energy and a different way of being versus this. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to look much lovelier in your homecoming dress or your couture gown if you're standing nice and open in mountain pose. So I hope you'll enjoy Tadasana. You can do it anytime, anywhere, and stay tuned for our next video. Namaste.